All right, let's continue on working on the Schaufelwagen, which is German for bucket truck. And we're going to continue on with the frame on this side. I'm going to kind of walk you through some of the stuff we looked at. We pulled the torsion bars out to look at them, to see if we noticed that there were some rust holes in the caps there. And we just wanted to make sure no water had gotten inside and rusted it out really bad. It looks in pretty good shape inside the tubes, so we're not really worried about that. We noticed that we've seen before taking apart, sometimes the torsion bar themselves have been rusted really thin. So we want to make sure that that wasn't happening. So we took those out and disassembled that. And we're going to use the eye of these bolts to line up the front. Now, trying to figure out which way to do this. So some of the things we've done over here is we've already marked the frame, the new frame, where each one of these supports is. You see here the top hat type support up in the front, and we have the little I-beam supports there, and the top hat back here, and one back there. And I'm still debating whether to put the top hats back on it or just use square tubing. You know, I'd probably do about the same thing. The only difference is in the middle. If you see here, there's a little bit of a hump in the middle right here. So, and then I'm also thinking at the same time, because there's so many, like I said, there's so many parts to buy, you have to kind of figure out what things. I do want all the outside sheet metal to look original. So if some of the stuff underneath isn't, then yeah, it's not that big a deal to me. And hopefully won't be if I ever go to sell it. You know, if it is, I'll just let somebody else buy it, I figure, and then they don't deserve it. So, but these inner rockers also, I'm debating, maybe I could use 1x3, and then just use 1x2 square or a rectangle tubing, and then just cut with the plasma cutter and a straight edge a piece out, and then bend it down to make this shape. So it would be just most of a square tubing 1x3, and then then just take part of that square and use that and bend it downward. And that would give you the same edge there for both inner rockers. So that could be saved there if I wanted to do that way. These are just some ideas I'm kicking around. I haven't decided yet what I'm going to do. And on these, like, I could do square tubing and just drill straight through it like that. I think that's how Musty One did his. And then these jack point supports are 1 by 1.5 by, these are 1 by 1 by 1.5 by 1.5, and then 1.5 by 3, I believe this is. And then you just cut it to a taper fit. So I would just cut the top edge of the square, of the rectangle, off at an angle, and then make it so it goes upward like that. So I could do that too, and also just use square tubing again, or rectangle tubing in the middle for the support there, and just take a plasma cutter and just cut a hole in there for the tube to go through. Pretty much that would do all the same things as the other. The only thing is I just don't want to do too much. If you have to do too much manufacturing to it, then it kind of takes away from the time, you know. So kind of looking at that, I think what I'm going to do is actually take, at this point, since we've got them all marked, we know where they're all at on that side of the frame. So I could take out all these supports here and basically all the middle part out of the way. And I need to leave this in place because I need to measure. I need to take this out in one piece so I can measure it. I need to have the measurement for this all the way across. So we put the two pieces together and we can measure that to come up with the measurement for that. These I've already traced out again and marked where the holes are, marked where the hinges are on my square tubing, 1.5 by 1.5. So that could easily make those. I mean, I'm going to make those. I'm just going to add the piece for the hinge here and then put some of these inserts in here. I'll show you kind of what we're going to do. I buy these nutserts that are like this, welded nutserts, by, you know, 10 or so at a time, or 20 or 30, I don't know. I just buy them quite a few. And then what we could do is actually just drill a hole in the square tubing and, you know, use the stair-step drill bit. Just drill a hole in there, drop this in, put it where we want it, and then weld it on the outside. And the reason we want to weld on the outside, it's a lot harder to do it inside the tubing. I'd have to open it up and then try and do it that way. But put it on the outside and then just heat it up and pound it down so that this is flush. So it would, you know, when I was done, this wouldn't be sticking out, this part. It'd be down underneath, flush to the tube. That's my plan. That's what I was thinking about there for those. There's other options. You can get the nutserts that actually press in with a tool. A lot of times I've had those come loose, so I like them welded in. It's a little bit more permanent. So I got this 13 gauge plate. Could have went with 14. I thought, why not go a little bit stronger? What's it hurt to go a little bit stronger, right? I got a bucket truck. And so what we're going to do with these is going to cut sections of them up and lay them against the frame, and then just trace where we need to cut, and then make this shape here. Then we'll just weld a piece of plate on the top, piece of plate on the bottom, on the seam right here, and that will make the rear frame. So that's the plan there. Chris and I were talking about that, and he came up with a good idea on that. He said, hey, that's how we could make that pretty easily. And so that was something kind of nice when you have two guys working on something. And he came up with that idea, and I thought, you know, I was kind of thinking about something like that, but the only problem is I'd be missing the bottom edge like this. You'd be missing that in the back. If I'm using 13 gauge instead of 14, it's quite a bit stronger. I don't even know if that's 14 gauge. It might be 16. It's not that thick in the back. So anyway, that's what I was thinking about. We're going to probably use that to make the side rails. Then when I get this all done, we'll probably set up posts on here and then put a straight edge on here to make sure that the heights from one side to the other are the same. We don't know exactly what the heights are. We're going to try and figure that out from one of the other vans. Luckily, I have some donor vans to look at. We can check out and figure out what the angles are like, because this side for sure was bent down. When I get to the back, this side was down a little bit more than this one. So something's tweaked back here from the rust hole. You can see right there. So yeah, it's going to have to do some straightening here as well. But I'm sure we can do it and make it work. So, but the next thing I have to do is actually pull this frame rail out, just like I did on the other side, and replace it just like that one. And we'll do that probably in this video. I'll have to remove all this too, because I'm going to remove all this stuff in the middle so that we can get to it easier. I don't want to be banging my head on this or on that thing over there. So we'll do some cutting videos on that. Let you guys watch that and enjoy, hopefully, and maybe learn something. That's the whole thing. We're trying to make the channel more entertaining and educational at the same time. I kind of like that idea. That's what Musty One does a little bit. I'm trying to make mine a little bit more like targeted towards the DIY guy learning how to do repairs. So I kind of like that he does that type of thing, but I'm not doing exactly the same thing. I'm doing things a little bit different. And obviously you guys see the music and stuff like that. I try and make that entertaining to watch, so that some people are just watching it for entertainment. Some people are watching it for education, but you can do both at the same time and learn something about maybe your own project, or, you know, maybe just dream about a project, either way, or maybe you're young and someday you'll find something in somebody's yard like this and you'll know how to fix it. So anyway, I'll talk to you in the next portion. All right, so here's where we're at now. Same thing we did on the other side, if you guys didn't see the other video. Everything from here forward, from right here forward, is in good shape. We looked at the whole frame up in the front. It's in good shape. We don't have the entire frame. We only have to about right here, that piece that I have. So it's best if I just try and repair it to the rear back where it's bad. And so we cut here. We're going to cut on this side of this line. Okay, then the other side is going to be over a little bit, and we're going to grind it to where it fits. Okay, so that it's a nice butt weld on this end. This side, what we're going to do is we're going to tap this down, knock this down a little bit, and kind of bend it in a little bit, and then put the other piece over it. And then what that's going to do is give us a nice lap all the way, this big long lap weld all the way along here. So it's going to be nice and strong. And then you'll have your butt here, and then the inside, when we cut it, and we cut it and we made like a sandwich piece. Let's take a look at it. So we got here, we did is we cut this in a sandwich piece like this, and what that's going to do is going to go up, and then this side is going to be double layered. So the inside is going to be double layered. I cut it down to about right here where the metal was good. And then we'll lap the one on top of the other, so we'll have a nice long lap weld on the inside. We'll do that on the car lift once we get to that point. We're not going to do that while it's on the ground. Just work smart, not hard, right? So we're gonna treat all this inside and make sure that there's no rust going on the new piece, and then put it in, and we'll bring you guys back in when we get to that point. If you look here in the back frame rail, that's just in place. We welded it there. We positioned it in the right place so that when we put the new piece in, we're going to put this patch piece in here, and that'll fit between this rail and that one. And we'll put that in perfectly straight as well. And then we'll start working on the back. We have an idea we're going to show you for that. So stay tuned. Make sure you come back for that video. We're going to make most of that rail in the back where it's damaged, and pretty much it'll be better than new when we're done. But this is all better than new because this is 12 gauge. The original was probably, actually I'm thinking it's more like 15. I don't think it's quite even 16 gauge, or maybe it's maybe 16 gauge, but I think it might be 15, somewhere in there for the existing frame rail. This is not nearly as thick as what we're putting in. So just so you know that. All right, we torch that thing out. Let's see if it comes out of here. Wow. And how is this thing that rusty and have that nice looking, perfectly clean tube in there?
I think it's cherry.
That's like cherry. That is weird. This thing's like totally rusted out, and then that thing's just like super cherry. Killer. We look so we can save that coupler though. We got this thing all loose. That ready to fall out of there?
Maybe.
We got the heater cable or something handed on.
Got something else attached up front.
Oh, rotten. Oh, there's something hooked up there. It seems like it's a cable stuck.
Cut that one right there.
Yeah. Oh, that's the throttle cable tube. Yeah. Yeah, I've got to put all those in. All right, here we go. The frame is in now. It looks really naked, doesn't it? It's just 2 frame rails, but it's got our Toyota frame now, so it's pretty strong. We still have the temporary ones underneath. They can actually probably come out. We had these, see those posts right there? We made those to keep the cab from falling while we were doing it too. So yeah, we did have the cab supported up so it wasn't going to fall down. So it's actually in its correct position right now. Again, we lap welded these here to make sure that they're extra strong. These are butt welded like they were, but again, that's like thinner gauge, so we wanted to make sure we lap welded there. Here where they're thick, we just butt welded those on both sides. So it's very strong. This thing's actually way stronger than it was originally. Let's look in here. So we've got, let's wide angle this here. Yeah. So that's how that looks all in. Again, we welded this top edge and then butted here. And that way it's got a lot of weld. And the leverage point is much stronger. So like where the weakness of this truck is about right in here. So if the weight gets on there and it's got all that leverage holding that piece in. So it's, if we just butt welded them together and then tried to weld, you know, do some other repair, it probably wouldn't be as strong. And this part right here, up here, this is actually the same metal that this is. And they make this whole, it's like this whole area in the middle of the buses and trucks, the Type 2, is all thick metal, and it's all designed to be like part of the structure. Because again, the frame is not really a frame. It is now, but it wasn't really a frame when they built it. It was a unibody car where all this stuff kind of worked together, and that this structure all across the middle is really thick metal, and that is all part of the to tie everything in from. That's like the nucleus of the frame of the unibody. So I don't like to mess with all that if I don't have to. I'd rather just do like what we did, since the metal was good, to use that to make it work. So anyway, it has a Toyota frame now, Toyota mini truck, and we're gonna work on these sides. The next video you guys come back for is gonna be, we're gonna go ahead and cut these off right here, and we're gonna C-cut one of these here pieces and then put it on there against here, and then trace the frame shape and make the outer edge of the frame, and then make that into 3 pieces. We're not going to make the whole thing, but this outer edge we're going to replace probably the whole thing just to have that be strong. But like this part is in pretty good shape, so we're probably not going to change that. But the back, obviously, you can see it starts to get bad about right here. So we're going to replace the top part all the way back like that. We may just put another piece on top. I don't know. It's going to be plenty strong when we're done. There's no way. This thing's going to hold that weight and then some. It's going to be a 1 ton or 2 ton, whatever, compared to the original. It's going to be way more weight it'll hold. So it'll never, it's not designed to push that much weight though. So the engine's going to be small. But I mean, I don't know what we're going to put in it yet, but still, no matter what you put in it, it's not big enough for pulling that machine. All right, so anyway, that's it. We'll talk to you in the next one. Please like, share, and subscribe. We're going to do some stuff, a little bit of stuff off camera, then we're going to bring you guys back in and show you what we did. And then the next video will be, again, on the back frame pieces. Talk to you in the next one.